All right, so this is, as stated, the official Verivius and Clockletone support tier list for patch OB15. For people who don't know, I am a support main. I make YouTube content, I make guides and let's plays and play-by-play videos of me playing support and different tips and tricks and whatnot, and how you can be a better support player, even if you're new or experienced. And Clockletone is my friend. He sometimes plays support, sometimes he plays solo. Every once in a while, he plays ADC, and then other times he's forced into the jungle and he's sad. And anyway, we are going to today do a very fun tier list for the new patch, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The way we're going to do this is we're going to do gods with their aspects. We're going to go in the list alphabetically, but on the tier list, they will be ranked in who is better or worse. To start off, we will go over what each of the tiers mean and all that. So S tier, I'll zoom in here so you can see it easier. S tier is completely OP. You must pick or ban them every game. These characters can carry alone just by playing them. So these are the characters like, no matter what, if you have this on your team, you can win the game. Doesn't matter if your team's playing, doesn't matter. A+. These are not broken characters, but they're definitely overperforming. They're very strong and they work with any comp. Then we have A. These are your balanced characters. These have equal strengths and weaknesses and they work with most comps. Typically speaking, you're most of the time going to be playing A or A+ characters. Then B tier, we have slightly underbalanced. Their weaknesses are a tad stronger, and they typically require you to build a comp around that character versus you building that character into a comp. And these are normally your counter pick characters, like you pick these to counter specific comps or characters. C tier, we have bad picks that are easily countered. You can only pick these, you should only pick these in specific scenarios, or only pick them if you are an absolute master of the character. And then D tier, we have straight trolling, just don't play them right. To go ahead and get started, we will be talking first about Athena, and I will let Clock go first this time and give us his beautiful thoughts about Athena.
When it comes to, I mean, Athena is just like your baseline support, right?
Yeah.
Like she has great peel. She has really good damage all around. The only issue is that when it comes like into the later parts of the game, her taunt is more or less a death sentence if your team isn't behind you. Which generally you want to be using your taunt when your team is behind you. But I'd say she's a solid A.
Okay. You think a solid A?
I would say a solid A.
Can I turn Clock up a smidge? Yeah, we can.
Wouldn't hate to see Athena on my team. Well, I know this. You taunt somebody, and then your team is behind you, and they kill them before they can kill you.
For anybody watching this on YouTube, this is a live tier list. This is the first one we've done live, so you can see Lucas and Dreamy in the chat talking. Clock, I agree with you completely. Taunt, activate, Neiman, yeah, but then you have to like build a whole item just to make this character good, and even then, it's like not that good. Overall, though, she has value. She's not horrible. A lot of people don't like Athena right now. I think exactly what Clock said makes sense. She is a very solid A character because she has strengths. She has also weaknesses, and they're both very prevalent. One of the benefits of Athena, though, is she can ult to anybody on the team and just show up in an instant, and she can change a fight.
Yeah, the global ultimate is fucking crazy. The mitigation of the shield you get from it is not something you should be ignoring.
Yeah. Nemean is still good, but it's not something that you would typically build like every game, only if you like really need to go it to fight the ADCs. So it's one of those things where if you have to go an item in order to make a character viable, then that character just simply isn't super viable. Now, Athena Aspect is a different case. I'm pretty positive that Athena Aspect is not the best, but it's pretty okay. Personally, I prefer Athena no aspect over aspect, but I do think there are some use cases for Athena Aspect. If you're playing it with comms, if you're not playing with comms, Athena Aspect is horrible. But just being able to come in and be like, hey, I'm going to ult you, or I'm going to ult them, go in, and we can get a kill. But you have to just keep in mind, you're losing a lot of the shielding the character provides and the benefits that the teammates get from you ulting, because you only ult the enemy and they get an extra damage. They take increased damage from your teammates. So it's decent with comms, but overall, I wouldn't super recommend it.
No, I was going to transition. This next character, though, I think you should talk the most about this character.
Yeah, I think Ares is arguably the strongest support right now in ranked. In comp, I think it's probably another character we'll talk about later, but in ranked or just casuals, Ares is almost S tier because in ranked or casuals, he's just able to hard carry games. He on this list, I will spoil it. He is by far the best character. I don't think he alone can carry games, but he's very close. There are some situations where he can get shut down, in my opinion. But right now he just uses all the new items phenomenally well, except for like Heartward and the boots. But the other new items he uses really well, like Mushroom. He loves Mushroom. Rod of Asclepius is pretty decent on him because he gets extra damage. But overall, he's a super tanky character. His 2 gives you a ton of prots. It gives you regen, it gives your teammates prots and regen, gives you bonus attack damage. And then he's also one of the only supports that actually has benefit from going Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail because he's already a super in-your-face character. And just having those items inherently makes his damage a lot higher. And he already is a character that just does a lot of damage. And also he benefits a lot from... How do I put it? He benefits a lot from just building items that you already want to build because of how his passive works. For those of you that don't know, Ares passive, the more protections you get, the more strength you have, the more cooldown you get, the more intelligence you have. So you're already building a lot of protections and cooldown on support. So inherently, he's just doing a ton of extra damage from just existing. And that combined with the new aura item, Sanguine Lash, he is just a monster house. And he also got anti-heal on his 3. So he is just doing a lot in support right now. He is a very good character. I personally, like, it really depends on what mode you're playing. In casuals, he's a hard S character. In ranked, I put him in A+, so that's why he's going in there. But overall, he is without a doubt the best support in the game right now.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I would definitely, I agree. Ares is probably the best character, or the best support character at least. And something I'll also add on to, if you're like, in comms and you're like, doing shit with your solo laner, another character that can like really easily get beads off of somebody, it's just Ares' value just increases like exponentially. Like a big combo that me and Vervius do a lot is I'll play Mordred and he'll play Ares, and I either he ults in or either he ults them, or I like kind of ult in, and one of us gets the beads of the enemy, and the other's like right behind, and they just kind of get they just kind of die.
Yeah, it's a very easy combo to pull off if you're in comms with your solo laner, or even if you're playing with your solo laner. Being able to just have that extra engage, and you guarantee one of you is getting their beads, the other person is getting a pull or a kill. It's super awesome. Another thing I'll just add on to why Ares is so strong is Mushroom. Ares ult gives him mitigations. You pop Mushroom right before you're about to ult, so you get the extra damage reduction on top of your mitigation, and you just ult in, and you are completely unkillable for that time frame. And previously in like Smite 1 and early Smite 2, Ares ult had very similar problems to Athena Taunt, where you went to go ult and people just kill you because you were super slow. You had CC immunity, but you're literally just a walking target for them to hit you. But in Smite 2 right now, that's not the case at all. He's actually quite unkillable when you go the Mushroom and just level the ult because you get the mitigations down. Ares Aspect, however, I think is still strong, but I'm going to put him in B. It definitely has merit. I don't think it's unplayable like a lot of people think. Losing the protections really sucks, but having just a free stun is always inherently good. But that being said, it's not as good as the extra protections and regen you get from the 2 normally. That goes really well with his builds right now, and it keeps him alive just a little bit longer. But that being said, you can still get it if you have if you need to go the stun, you can definitely get it.
Ares Aspect is I said it the first time we did this, and I still kind of agree with it, but Ares Aspect is like, in the best way to put it is like training wheels, right? Because the stun can guarantee like a lot of your CC.
Yeah.
But no, like the prots on his 2 it's just so goddamn important.
Yeah, the prots do so much, and the regen helps so much. You can kind of make the trade because you're going Mushroom right now, you're going Spirit Robe right now, you're probably getting Sanguine on him right now. And all of those items give you really good sustain. So you can kind of make that trade-off. That being said, I do not recommend going Ares Aspect unless it's a specific scenario. And that's why I put it in B, because it's not unplayable. It's not like it's not bad pick that is easily countered. It's not easily countered. It's you pick this if they have a lot of channelable abilities. Like if you're going against a Cerberus, I would go Ares Aspect, because then you just cancel his 2 completely. If you're against like a Wan Yu or a Fenrir, going Ares Aspect is OP because then you cripple and get the stun. Stuff like that. It usually makes sense in those scenarios. Next up, we have Afro. And right now, I think Afro is a solid A tier pick. Her healing is non-existent in this patch. And that is something that people need to know is, yes, as a healer, she's just not good. But when you look beyond that, as a utility support, she has a lot a value right now. If you build her more tanky and that like tanky utility build that I posted the other day, you can give your teammates so much prots with the buff they give to her one. You can make whoever you're tethered to extremely tanky. If you're tethered to a carry, you can turn them into a pseudo tank. If you're tethered to your soul laner, you can boost their tankiness. She has pretty decent peel with her ult being one of the best ults in the game. You just get a free beats and Aegis. That's on a really short cooldown. The only real downside to Aphrodite is it's a little bit harder to hit her stun as opposed to like it is to hit a Sobek pluck or an Ares chain, because her kiss is a little bit delayed. And she's very mana hungry. That's another big thing. But also, if an Aphrodite gets focused, then she's kind of useless the entire game. So that's why she's not in like A+. I think A is pretty solid for her because there's a lot of cases where you'd want to go her, and there's a lot of cases where you wouldn't want to go her. So I think that's why I put her in A. But what about you, Clock? What do you think?
I think A is a perfect spot for Aphrodite right now, and I will say it. I think this is probably true. This is the most balanced Aphrodite has ever been in the history of Smite game.
Yeah, for sure.
Like right now in this patch, because when Aphrodite is either like one of the best characters in the game or utter complete abysmal dog shit.
Yeah.
And right now she uses the items relatively well. Her healing isn't crazy. The protections that because now with this with these new items, she's not having to like, focus a lot into building a lot of intelligence items, building a lot into damage when now she can actually like, benefit from building prop and giving protections to like, her link target.
Yeah. That being said, her heal still scales off of intelligence, so you still want to get a little bit. That's why like I recommended the utility tank build, because that one has like one intelligence item in it, and that's like a Chronos pendant you can throw in. But other than that, you really just go like full tank cooldown on her right now, and you're just kind of a powerhouse.
Yeah, the only thing is like she's really like she can get like once you like get her stun out, and once you if her ult is down, she's really easy to lock down and to actually like kind of like punish for poor positioning.
She is the only support in the game, in my opinion, that beads is a almost requirement to go. And that kind of sucks because right now in support you really need a Shell or a Sunder. Sunder if you want pressure, Shell if you need to get out of like an Odin Cage or Emoji ult. So it kind of sucks to have to go beads on her, but the beads is just necessary because you having that extra second of survivability is enough to turn the fight around, because then your kiss comes back up, then your knockback comes back up, your heal comes back up, your tools just come back up within that 1 second, and it's enough to save you typically. But all that said, another thing we didn't even mention is she also gives damage to whoever you kiss, and then if you kiss somebody else like 2 seconds after, they also get a damage buff. So she has a lot of utility.
She is the biggest 2v5 character in the game.
Yeah, if you pair this with like, if you're duoing with somebody, like not necessarily like duo laning, but like if you're duo queuing ranked, she's a really good pick if you just want to like make sure that person is going to hard carry your game, because she's the only character that can guarantee that person's going to stay alive. And also, here's a ton of extra damage. Here's also a ton of extra prots. Here's a free beads and a free Aegis. And if you're going Talisman and Rod of Asclepius, you can effectively give them 3 beads and whatnot.
Okay, Lucas, you say that? I'm being so for real. I am the biggest Hercules hater in the entire world. You could not pay me enough money to play Hercules.
I'm going to move the chat up a little bit so people can see these here. Lucas also said, I like Afro. I just can't bring myself to kiss men every couple seconds. I don't know how Clock does it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I read that comment. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, next up we have Anhur, and Anhur right now, in the notes, by the way, me and Clock took some notes before this. I forgot to even talk about Anhur aspect because I forgot he had one. But I think Anhur as a support is a very solid C tier pick, where if you want to go an attack speed or hunter based support, there's really no reason to go Anhur when Cupid and Apollo exist, or even Bellona, because they benefit so much more from the attack speed builds. They use Vital Amplifier really well. They use Arrow's Bow really well, and they also do other things. That being said, people can still play Anhur very well because he has a ton of CC in his kit. and some more utility. But that being said, you only really go this character if you're a master of that character, like Genetics, for example. Right? He can go on her support and get away with it almost every game because he just plays so much on her. He knows the character inside and out, and that's what this tier is designed for. Characters that, like, on their own are not very good in the support role, but if you're a very good player at that character, then you can make this work in almost any one of your games. And then on her aspect, I think, is the exact same thing. I truly, in support, do not think there's a difference at all between on her and on her aspect.
It's one of those things, if I don't know the person that picks on her support, then I'm probably gonna just, like, if I'm playing solo and, like, you know, fucking Guy McDude picks on her support
Guy McDude,
in my ranked game, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna be the only person that can peel and tank for my team. I have to change the way I want to fucking think and play the game now. It's I don't know. I've never been a fan of on her support.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it, you know, I've seen it work. But most of the time, it's like, why would I want an on her on my team when I could have, like, an Ares or an Aphrodite or a Baron Zombie?
Exactly. That's why it goes down here, right? It's not like it could go in the straight trolling, but it's like, no, because people do make this pick work, but you have to be so good at the character. That's why it works. And that's just, you would never go that realistically over any of these other characters. So that's why he's down here. But that's also why he's not in the lowest tier possible. Now, next up, we have Apollo, and Apollo's a very interesting character. I think as a character, as a support alone, I think base Apollo is probably D tier. And the reason is if you're going Apollo support, there's never a reason you wouldn't want to go the aspect. And so because of that, I put aspect Apollo in B tier. I think he is a good character. He's got a lot of utility. He brings a lot to the table when it comes to supporting. He has decent peel. He is a global ultimate similar to Athena. He benefits a lot, and I mean a lot, from the new items, Contagion being one of them. He is a monster with that item. But that being said, he's still just a tiny bit easier to counter. Your peel, although it's good, it's not super consistent. It requires very good communication from your teammates because they have to know not to hit the mesmerized targets. And honestly, in ranked, that's just not going to happen more often than not. And all that being said, though, he has great utility. He's a good character. He's just not as good as some of the other ones on the list.
Yeah, I mean, because I know you love Apollo Aspect, and I love seeing you play Apollo Aspect because you love that character and his aspect.
Yeah.
It's just, right now, other supports are just like, they bring a lot more to the table than what Apollo Aspect can do. Because, like, realistically speaking, all Apollo Aspect does is he has a mez, and he has attack speed, and a small little bit of, like, shielding he can give you.
Yep.
And the global ultimate part of it all is it has its use cases, but like most of the time you're not going to be, you know, ulting to each and every lane like every off cooldown. Yeah.
Now I mentioned this earlier, but we are going to be at the end. We're going to be ranking these in terms of like left to right, meaning left is the best, right is like the weakest in that tier. We're just not doing that right now, just to make it easier as we go down the list of alphabetical. So just everyone keep that in mind. But next up we have Bacchus, and Bacchus is a very clearly an A+ character right now. The built-in anti-heal, so strong. Some of the best engage in the game with Bacchus flop is it's just so powerful. He has a stun in his kit as well, which is really nice. His ultimate, he does a ton of damage. He does so much damage as a tank. It's really cool. But also just the built-in anti-heal makes him really strong into a meta where a lot of people are going healing, or they're going some type of healing, whether it be lifesteal or actually healing characters like Aphrodite. He benefits from that a lot, but also he's just one of the characters that you can pick in ranked and just kind of turn your brain off and just be everywhere on the map and still feel impactful. A Bacchus from behind is still an impactful character, and he's one of the only characters on this list that actually can do that because of just how much base damage he has in his kit. And like I said, his flop is a very good tool. It's very easily countered by characters like a Willix. His burp can be interrupted, so he definitely has some weaknesses. He's definitely nowhere near as good as Ares, but that being said, he's still better, in my opinion, than some of the other characters on this list, just in terms of his raw engage and peel. And right now in support, we're still in a phase where pressure matters more than anything, and Bacchus his early game is super strong, and he's able to give you that pressure similar to Ares. So I think he is a pretty solid A+ pick. Now, in solo, Bacchus is a very strong character, specifically with Aspect, because of how he can use Gluttonous Grimoire. However, in support, I think Bacchus Aspect is a solid B pick. You can technically still go it, but honestly, it's pretty bad in support. You lose a lot of the prots and the whatnot that comes with his one. So I don't highly recommend it because although it is very good right now in solo, support is a very different role, and you just can't really go the same items that you would.
Yeah, I've always liked Bacchus. I never really got a chance to play around with Bacchus Aspect because the aspect wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah,
it doesn't change the character fundamentally a lot at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, maybe messing around with it with Gluttonous Grimoire could be fun, but I don't know. I don't really like to see the value with Bacchus Aspect outside of like a gimmick, which is why I think B tier works fine for him. But regular Bacchus and support is only an A+ pick.
Yeah, and when we get there, Bacchus with Aspect is probably going to go like towards the end of the B tier because it's not very good. It's just something you're not going to get completely like shut down if you go it. Like, spoiler alert, when we talk about Cerberus, you can get shut down like super easily if you go Aspect, Cerberus, and support. Bacchus is not the case. Bacchus does benefit from the Aspect because he gets a lot of pressure. He just loses a lot of prots, and that makes it so his engage is inherently a little bit weaker because he can die a lot easier when he uses it. So that's why he's in B. But overall, I think Bacchus in A+. You could put him in A+ or A. Me personally, with how I've seen him in ranked and how my games have gone, and also watching like Smite Prime, the OSL, the AGL, I think he is a solid A+ pick personally. And now we have Baron Samedi. Baron is a very fun support, and I think he is another solid A tier character. He actually is a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed Baron. His healing is nerfed because of the patch, but he actually is one of the few healers it didn't get nerfed too much because it's a lot harder to get his heal off. Unlike Afro can just always heal somebody, whereas Baron has to hit somebody to get the heal off, so they didn't touch his heal too much in comparison. But that being said, he still has a lot of CC in his kit. He has that root, he has his ultimate, he also gives your teammates a lot of movement speed with his 2, and he cleanses slow, so he's got some pretty nice utility. And then all that included, he also has Baron's Brew, which is just a really nice consumable. It gives your entire team an extra 100 damage per kit rotation, as well as a free multi-pot that they can use every back. So he's got a lot of utility. That being said, he's still very easily counterable. You know, he's a very slow character. You kind of have to go regrowth striders on him and hit the 2 consistently. But if you're hitting that 3-2 combo, he's a very good character and he does a lot for the team. But he's also similar to Afro, very easy to shut down. So I think overall right now in the current meta, his strengths and weaknesses are pretty balanced. I think he leans slightly more towards the B tier than like as a solid A pick, but realistically he could be interchangeable in both of those tiers. And then Bacchus, before I let Clock speak, I'm gonna put Bacchus Aspect in D tier because or not Bacchus, Baron Aspect in D tier because Baron Aspect just there's no reason to go then support because it literally takes away all your support tools. All right, now Clock can go.
Yeah, Baron Aspects, don't play that at support. It's pretty good in mid and has some play in solo. But Baron is just a nice he's just a nice character. I like to I'm fine seeing him on my team as like a support. Yeah. Really good healing, a lot of control, and a lot of like kind of like lockdown and CC. He does a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And, he's fun. I enjoy Baron on my team.
Yeah, and you know, similar like we talked about Ares, he gets a lot of benefit from building items he already wanted to build. You know, his healing scales off of cooldown, and you're going a lot of cooldown on him anyway. So, you're still healing for quite a bit, and your heal is going to be up very often. So he's actually a very good healer right now. Next up, we have Bologna, and we're actually going to talk about Bologna Aspect first because I think that makes the most sense. Bologna Aspect is absolutely OP in this patch. Like not like really OP, but in a 1v1 fight, Bologna Aspect is so strong. Support, solo, jungle, doesn't matter. She uses a Vital Amplifier, and in my opinion, I think she's probably the best Vital Amplifier user in the game. She always has it up when she uses her 3. She can stick to people like glue. If she's healing her teammates, she's healing herself. If you go Aerospell on her, it stacks with a 3 healing on your teammates, and you can just do so much damage from building full tank, and while also having a ton of sustain and keep your team alive. You also get free block stacks. So if you're against an auto attack team comp, she just shines really heavily. She's just honestly, out of all the like solo laner supports, she really is one of the best ones. And in Smite 1, that was you would really never play her in support, but in Smite 2, what they did to her kit and with her aspect, they really let her shine in the support role a lot because she has so many tools that she can bring to the table, and it's a lot of fun. If you haven't tried Bologna with Vital Amplifier, I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. Vital Amplifier, Aerosbow, Tear Feign, and then you go full tank, and you're doing like 100 to 200 damage in auto. You're autoing with like a 3.0 attack speed, and you also get free block stacks. It's so strong. It's just so strong. That being said, she does lack peel, and that's like the biggest thing. She doesn't have a real stun other than her ult, so you're not really going her as a I'm going to peel support. You're going her as an engage support that also has utility. So like, you want to pick her on a team comp that has some of their own CC. So you could make the argument that she goes in B because of that. But overall, I think her strengths heavily outweigh that weakness. So that's why I have her in A. But I'll let Clock speak now.
Blood Aspect is so much fun. I fucking love Blood Aspect.
Yeah.
Giving your team block stacks and like extra healing from your 3 and your 1 is nice. Losing out on bludgeoning damage does change how you want to like play the laning phase a little bit. Instead of like bludgeoning the wave and then you kind of like trying to just quickly clear the wave and like fight the other solo laner. You're instead, I mean, again, I'm talking from a solo perspective. Like instead now you're like maxing your 1 or maxing your 3 and just like fighting in the wave while also just kind of like hitting the minions while you can because you're just so tanked and you're healing for so much. And I do think she is the best user of Vital Amplifier. She couldn't really use it in Smite 2 all too effectively just because of like how the healing on her 3 worked.
Yeah.
But I do think in support, I don't like. Hold on, you put her. I think A is a good spot for her. Bologna without aspect, I would say you could put her in C. Like you could still do it. It's just not going to be as good. But yeah, I think the perfect spot for Bologna aspect.
Yeah, for me personally, I think Bologna no aspect is actually D because similar to Apollo, there's just no reason to play Bologna in support if you're not going aspect. Like if you want to play Bologna support, you go aspect every game. So like with that in mind, it would genuinely be troll to not go aspect on hers. So that's why I think she goes in D tier. But like Clock said, C also makes sense. I'm just going to leave her in D because following the same rules that we did for the Apollo. All right, next up we have Cabrakan, and I'll actually let Clockletone take over the lead on Cabrakan because I have a lot I could say, but Clockletone likes Cabrakan a little bit more than I do.
Again, this is coming from a solo perspective, but like even without like building damage, not like you're like in solo, you're always like trying to get like only like 1 damage item going in. Cabrakan just has so much like lockdown and CC, and he is the bit. I think out of all the supports, he has the most control. Maybe like outside of Odin potentially, but he has the most control out of like zone control out of all the supports right now. He not only has 2 stuns, he has a tremble, he has a cripple, he has a big wall that he could just shove on you, and all of that they're all on pretty relatively low cooldowns like late game.
Mm-hmm.
Cabrakan is just a fantastic character, and he uses doesn't really use all like the new healing cool items like all too well. But again, with the combination of Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail, he's just going to be doing so much more damage than you can actually probably like if a Cabrakan dives you and your team, you can't deal with that alone.
Yeah, no,
you need like
you
at
need
least
help.
you need at least 2 to 3 people to like take down a single Cabrakan trying to like CC you and everything.
Yeah,
I love Cabrakan so much. He's so much fun to play in Smite too.
One thing I want to point out is he does use the mushroom really well, because Cabrakan passive gives you and your teammates 4% damage mitigation base, and with the mushroom, you're also giving them 10% damage reductions, and that obviously stacks with your 4% damage mitigation. So Cabrakan with mushroom makes his entire team extremely tanky and hard to deal with. So he's got a lot going for him right now in this patch. This is honestly, he's been good for a while, but just having 2 stuns plus a cripple plus a tremble plus base 4% damage mitigation plus a new mushroom that gives your team damage reduction, like there's just a lot going for him, and he's pretty happy right now. So I put him in A+. I think Clock would agree with that. He's a very strong character. Also, Cabrakan does really well into the other A+ characters like Ares and Bacchus, so makes sense for him to be up there. Next up, we have Cerberus, and Cerberus is a character right now. No aspect. It's one of those things where Cerberus is just like, you would think he'd be really great in this patch because of all the healing in the game and the lack of anti-heal, but honestly, he does damage. He has a decent CC, but Ares just kind of does everything Cerberus wants to do, but better. He's got the anti-heal now. His CC is better than Cerberus's because he has a 12-second cripple. Their ultimates are basically the same, but Ares gets damage mitigation in it now. And overall, Ares just does what Cerberus wants to do, but better. I think Cerberus, he's definitely not bad, but it's just, you have to ask yourself, why would you want to go him instead of one of the other like top 3 supports that we have right now? And that's why I think he's an A. Cerberus aspect, I think personally, is very weak in support. I think it's okay in solo, but it's one of the easiest things to shut down in the game. And with that in mind, I think Cerberus aspect is probably C tier, but he can go in B. It's one of those things where you only go this in very, 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 very hyper specific scenarios where they don't have an easy way to stop you from using your 2. Because as support, you're not really going to be jumping into like 2-3+ people that often, so you're never really going to be able to stack his aspect as much as you want to, and you're just not going to get as much value out of it as you would in solo. So I think his aspect is pretty weak in support. That being said, if you're really good at his aspect, you can still go it just because you know how to play around it. But overall, I think you just get way more value out of normal Cerberus. And also, one thing I do want to mention is Cerberus aspect ult is horrible. It's basically just a Geb 2. It provides like 0 value, in my opinion. It's just bad.
If we're gonna go down that route, Mr. Vervius YouTube, in that sense, Cerberus has more value than Geb's entire kit.
Yeah, Cerberus is just a better Geb. You don't have the shield, but just get heroism, then you're basically Geb, but better.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. All right, next up we have Cupid. Clock, I'll let you talk about Cupid.
I mean, Cupid's a solid A. Maybe B. Probably B. Yeah, I'll say B. Cupid's a solid B.
With or without aspect? With or without aspect?
With aspect. Without aspect, that character's in fucking. I don't know why you would play Cupid support without aspect. I'm just saying. I'm gonna put him no aspect in D. That was already my plan. But yeah, a Cupid aspect is a very good character right now. Cupid aspect, he has good shielding, good healing, and just in general, Cupid just has a lot of control, a lot of buffs he can give your team. He has a lot of utility, but not a lot of anything else, and that's okay, and that's fine. His healing and use of Vital Amplifier can do a lot of damage and set things up for your team to do shit.
Yeah,
he's a solid character all around. Yep.
Another thing about Cupid that you touched on a little bit, he has so much utility right now. His 2 can give your teammates health, mana, attack speed, and strength and intelligence. His 2 gives so much shit right now. Plus, he has an extra attack speed buff to his teammates with his dash. Plus, he has an ult that cripples everybody. Plus, he has a stun that also shields and heals. Like, there's a lot to his kit that adds a lot of utility. I think he could honestly go in A, but I think B makes sense because it is a little hard. His early game is super weak. His mid game is pretty weak. He really pops off like late mid game into late game when he gets his items online. But he also does a ton of damage from building just normal. Like you build him pretty much the same way you would Bologna support. And you can do a ton of damage, but also be ranged while also healing people as you're doing your damage and doing other things while you're doing your damage. And it's just really nice. He's a very good poke utility enchanter support. He has a lot to offer right now. If you haven't played him, I recommend trying it with Aspect and Arrow's Bow, Vital Amplifier. There's a lot of fun stuff he can do with those items. So I think it's pretty good. And then obviously no Aspect D tier because there's just no reason to go him no Aspect if you're playing support. Like, come on. And then Fenrir. I think Fenrir base and Fenrir Aspect are pretty much the same right now in this patch because of the new tank items. Like he uses the new tank items really well. So you can go tank Fenrir Aspect or no Aspect in support and still get shit done. You're able to invade really easily with the items. You're able to kill people really easily with the items. The slow on the brutalize is really nice. And also his brutalize has a anti-heal now, which makes him even better into characters like Anubis, who he was already really good into, and just other characters that are pretty slow and lack mobility. Fenrir is really great into. He also is a great beads burner. So if your team has heavy CC, your ult alone is enough to get rid of their beads, but also does a bunch of damage to them. So he's just all around a good character right now, especially where pressure is king in support. He's able to keep that pressure by invading enemy jungle really well.
You said everything about Fenrir because I have no opinion on Fenrir. That character is boring and that's you can talk about that.
No, I don't think it's boring. I think it's a lot of fun. You've been able to jump in on people and then just slash them is pretty fun. I think attack speed Fenrir is boring but tank Fenrir is a lot of fun because you just get to like run it. Like that assault game we played the other day, Clock, that was so much fun. Where I was just like super tanky.
Yeah, it's just so boring.
All right, now we're going to talk about the elephant.
Okay. Did we talk about Ganesh Aspect earlier?
In our notes?
Yeah.
I'll talk about Ganesh Aspect if you want to talk about base Ganesh.
I mean, honestly, base Ganesh is like, again, I would say base Ganesh is a solid A. He is... Like you think about a support in Smite 1, you think about Ganesh. His entire kit is just based around helping your team, peeling for your team, all of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because like he has a silence that he gives like protections to his team when he's he
gives a lot of protections to his team.
He has a lot of protections. He has a 1 which gives like a damage amplifier. He puts a mark on a target, gives a damage amplifier to his team. His 3 is a really good stun and really good knockup. His 4 is the most damaging ability in the entire fucking game, even as a support. His objective shred is incredible.
Yeah.
And something I want to note, with how prevalent Devos is, now that it's changed back into an actual stacking item, Ganesh has got so much more value with ADCs building Devos every fucking game again. And how you have to stack it by like getting minion kills now, and how Ganesh gives minion kills to his ADC.
Yeah, Ganesh do be giving those minion kills. He do be giving those minion kills.
Is this really good? Sorry, I had to open a liquid death. I don't know if you heard that.
No, you're good. I didn't hear that, but thank you for letting us know anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what Clock said. Ganesh is a character that he brings so much to a team. You pick him if they have a heavy dive team because his silence is just counteracts that completely. But the problem that he runs into is his silence is actually pretty easily counterable because, Bacchus can stop his silence. Ares Aspect can stop his silence. Cabrakan can stop his silence. There's a lot of like Cabrakan actually can use his 1 while being silenced, I'm pretty sure, because it's technically a buff. Even if he can't, he can use it before the silence and then just have it and wait until he uses the silence and then stun him. But there's just a lot of ways to cancel that silence. And his ult requires a lot of setup and a lot of communication in order to be pretty valuable. But that being said, he still does so much to the team and he is super helpful. Now, Ganesh Aspect, I think, is completely the same as going normal Ganesh. Now, you have to keep in mind that you lose so much peel when you go Ganesh Aspect. But that's okay because you play Ganesh Aspect support very differently. Like it's effectively a different character, and it's hard to think about him like that because it's still Ganesh, but he's essentially a different character completely. You're playing Ganesh aspect the same way you would play a Fenrir support or like a Hercules support, where you're just running at the enemy team the entire game. You don't care if you die as much. You're just trying to waste the jungler's time. You're trying to invade on cooldown. Literally, your job is to just be as annoying as humanly possible, because come late game, it doesn't matter if you're behind, doesn't matter what, you're going to one-shot any carry in the game with a normal like hybrid tank build because of just how much raw damage you can do. And you're getting a lot of movement speed from your two. So it's effectively, I think, it's as good as normal Ganesh, maybe a little bit weaker, but you have to remember it's a completely different way to play this character. It's not recommended in support like by Hi-Rez, but it's just one of the things where, like, you know, it's just one of the different ways you can play support, right? Where you don't have to necessarily go like a peel support. You don't have to go like a frontline tank. You can go just this aggressive time waster support. And that's a very valid way to play the game. So that's Ganesh. That's the Mr. Elephant Man. And now we have Geb, otherwise known as Abysmal Dog Shit. This character is C tier.
That character sucks. That character is so bad. Even with aspect, non-aspect, and aspect Geb, it's all just fucking poop from a butt, dog shit, bad.
The only thing Geb has going for him,
he just dies.
He straight up just dies. The only thing he has going for him is his passive, and that he can give to his teammates with shield, and then shield can also, you know, obviously it cleanses CC from people, so he's got that going for him. But like once those are down, he is a completely useless character. I have in SMITE 2 for the past like 4 months. Every time I've played Geb, I've been like, damn, I wish I was playing literally anybody else. Anytime I've gone against a Geb, they have felt like, damn, I wish I was playing anybody else, because he is just so useless. Me and Clock were playing ranked the other day. We went against a Geb, and all he could do was die. Every time he would roll in, and he couldn't do anything. In a scenario where any other character lives, he just dies because he just can't get away. He can't do that. He is so slow. His tools aren't as good as they are in SMITE 1. It's just, there's a lot to Geb that just makes him bad right now. And crit inherently isn't as good anymore. So there's not even that going for him right now. There's a lot to this character that needs to be. And what's funny about it is, in every form of the game, almost everybody agrees about Geb. In comp, he sucks. In ranked, he sucks. In casuals, you can't even... Let me say something. If you're playing casual SMITE and you play Geb, you are actually a masochist. Like, you cannot play a peel support in casual conquest, let alone fucking Geb. So with all that said, he's just... he's borderline unplayable right now. And he's a fun character, but it's just not right now. He's not a fun character right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree. He's not fun ever. And being real, like the most he can give is, I would say his 3, which is a shield. But even then, there's so much anti-shielding in the game. Like if I see a Geb on the team, I'm like, okay, I'll just buy erosion and just kind of negate everything that he wants to do.
Yeah. He's just all around bad right now. All right, but let's go ahead and we'll talk about Guan Yu now. Guan Yu, he kind of fell off a little bit with this patch in support. The items that he uses are just better in solo, but that being said, you can still play him in support pretty well. I think is a solid B pick aspect or no aspect, because he uses the intelligence items really well and he uses Vital Amplifier really well. So both of them I think are about the same in B. There's not a whole lot to say about Guan because, you know, he does what he does. He's got Prot Shred. He's got healing that also reduces your teammates' cooldowns. So that's really good. The only real form of peel that he has is his ultimate. So all that in mind, he's not the best support, but he's still playable. He's definitely better than Geb. He's pretty on par with the rest of the people in B, though.
I do think I think Aspect Guan has more value.
Yeah.
Than regular Guan
in support.
Yeah,
in solo, I think it's about the same right now.
Yeah.
This is a support. So. Next up, we have Hecate. Hecate is a very solid C tier character. Again, aspect or no aspect, because it's one of those things where, you know, I really like playing Hecate support and I play it a lot and I have a great time. But it's one of those things where you could only play this character effectively if you're a good Hecate player. You know, her 2 has lots of value if you go aspect, or if you don't go aspect. You know, it can completely counter certain characters like Uller. Hecate aspect into an Uller is the funniest fucking thing in the world, and Uller's really strong right now, so you might see me play a lot of Hecate support right now, but she just, other than that, doesn't offer super much. Her ult is pretty good peel. Her 1, the Mez, is pretty nice. And then if they have like an all magical team, her 3 is a very good ability, but other than that, she just kind of doesn't really offer nearly as much as anybody else on this list. So
yeah, honestly, Hecate aspect is just funny.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It really is. It's really easy to avoid. But that being said, if they avoid it, then they're effectively silencing themselves. So that's still a form of CC in its own way. Next up, we have Hunbats. We're just going to kind of move through this a little bit quickly because there's not super much to talk about with him. Hunbats is basically just a worse Fenrir right now. He's still pretty good in support, like aspect or no aspect. He still brings a lot to the table. He again, it's more that like aggressive support play style where your job is trying to invade the enemy jungle. You're trying to like steal buffs. You're trying to waste their time, chase around carries, just make it so they can't farm, stuff like that. But Fenrir just does what he does a lot better right now. That being said, I think Hunbat's ult in teamfights is a lot better than Fenrir ult, but Fenrir ult is much better for single target people. So that's right. That's my opinion on Hunbat's. Clock, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but
I don't. He's a monkey. He has a stun. Ever since they made the change. Ever since they made the change to his ult, where you could only get feared for 3 ticks of it, it just kind of sucks now.
Yeah, that's so valid. That's valid. All right, now we have Hercules. Hercules in solo, borderline unstoppable. Hercules in support, pretty stoppable because he's going to be behind. That being said, it's still Hercules. You know, if you've ever played Smite in like season 5, season 6, this character was like the #1 support pick because you would just run around the enemy jungle. You would start enemy speed buff and just chase their jungler for the first 5 minutes. And you would be level 1 for the first 5 minutes, but the enemy jungler would also be level 1 for the first 5 minutes. So he can kind of do stuff like that again. He uses the new items phenomenally well. He is very good with them, especially Regro Striders. And that being said, as a support, him and Fenrir do the exact same thing. Now, Herc aspect, I think, is a little bit weaker. I believe that goes in B tier because it's one of those things where I don't have enough experience on it to really like say exactly where it goes. But for the small experience I do have, I think it's B. I really don't ever see anybody play Hercules aspect because it was bad for so long. And even right now, when people are playing Hercules, they still don't really go as aspect because it's one of those things where why would you go the aspect if you just play normal Hercules? And it's kind of the opposite of like what we have down here.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on Hercules. That character never clicked in my brain. I never really liked Hercules, but yeah, I think you kind of said everything right. I think he's a solid character.
Real and true. Real and true. All right, now we have Khepri. Khepri is a lot better this patch. I think he's a solid A tier support with the mushroom. It actually helps him not die when he goes to pluck people. Oh, actually, let me rephrase. Khepri aspect is a solid A tier character. Khepri normal is not. He's B. The Khepri aspect is just infinitely better than normal Khepri. Locking them in place makes it so much easier for your teammates to follow up. It's got really good peel. It counters Hercules really well, actually, because if they go Herc solo, Khepri can just allow your team to lock him down so he doesn't get to do Hercules things, and that's really important. But yeah, Khepri is a lot better right now. He's still weak into execute comps because it just negates his entire ult value. But that being said, he definitely got a lot more value this patch because tanks and just are inherently tankier finally. So Khepri benefits a lot from that because he's just able to not die as quickly when he goes to pluck somebody.
Yeah, Khepri still has like really good Khepri aspect, at least. I think I like the idea of aspects. It's just there's so many aspects that are hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like with Khepri aspect, why would you want to go base Khepri when you can just keep someone in place
and
just continue
and do damage while you're doing that?
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the Morgan. She is a very solid C tier support, and the reason for that is she's good, but only if you're a really good Morgan player. Because she can turn into other characters, you know, she's got that going for her. But realistically, she just doesn't bring enough to the table to warrant her anywhere higher in the tier list. But we included her specifically for Lucas, so he would be happy.
I honestly, I would say put Morgan support in D. That character is poopy duty.
The clock hates her. No, but this is Aspect Morgan.
Yeah, Aspect Morgan, poopy duty. I don't like that character. I think the character sucks. I think they should probably delete that character.
No, I think she does have some value because she can turn into like other characters. She's the only support that like theoretically can hyper carry a game because like even if you're behind, even if she is bad, like if she's like nerfed to all hell, she's still decent because she can just turn into a character that's OP. But that being said, you'd probably be better off letting your jungler or soul laner pick her. So yeah, but normal Morgan is going in D tier because like in any role, if you're playing the Morgan, you go Aspect right now. It's just a much better way to play the character.
Yeah.
My my magnets aren't working anymore. Oh, that's why. 125. There we go. I got to make the tier list look pretty. By the way, this tier list will be available for like download on the Discord server. You can hop in. There's a channel called SMITE Stuff, and you can just download the picture if you want to always have it on hand. Now, Odin, I will let Clockletone talk about Odin because Clockletone loves Odin.
Odin as a support, again, this is coming from a soul lane perspective. Odin Cage is the only ability in the game right now that has 100% directs no healing at all, which is really, really valuable right now in a time where like everybody's building all of these like, you know, cool new healing items. They're building all these like cool new lifesteal items, but Odin is there just like he is the anti-heal character. Better than Cerberus, personally. I would say I would put Odin at a solid A because even like besides the cage, he has really good shielding. The shield he has is really good. The 3 not only is a good stun, it's also good for objective shred because you can just give attack speed to your ADC, and ADCs are just kind of built for objective shreds or objective shredding. I would say he's a solid B.
A or B?
I sorry, did I say A? I meant to say B. Say B.
I agree completely. If you said A, I would have disagreed, but I think he's a solid B. He's one of those where he's like he could go an A. He offers a lot right now, but overall it's kind of easy to counter him. But that being said, he's also really easy to counter other comps. So, and he's a really good support to go if your team is going heavy AoE like Zeus, Vulcan, Poseidon. Kind of just guarantees those big ultimates that do lots of damage. So, as well as doing the like 100% anti-heal and just guaranteeing lockdown on a character. Like an Odin Cabrakan combo is very strong because you put them in the cage, Cabrakan stuns them into the cage, so they, even if they shell, they can't leave, and then you get the Kraken on top of them. They're anti-healed, they're stunned, they're CC'd, and they're just stuck. So he's a pretty beat character because he usually requires a team comp built around him. So him going in B makes sense. Also, he is a counter character, so that's why he's in here. And now we have Thor. Both versions of Thor I'm also going to put in B because it's again very similar to Fenrir and Hunbats, where it's like if you want to go this like assassin support playstyle, Thor is good, but there's really no reason to go him over Fenrir right now other than the ultimate. He's a little bit tankier. He's got his wall, it's pretty decent CC, but then other than that, like I think Fenrir just does what he wants to do, but a lot better. What about you, Clock?
Yeah, I mean, Thor is cool. I've never seen you play Thor support.
That's not true.
Recently.
Oh, recently.
How everything's changed. Aspect definitely gives him more of a supporty kind of play style, but
yeah, like tanky vibe.
Thor is tanky vibe, but even then that aspect is geared more towards you being a solo laner, not a support.
Yeah.
Thor support can work. It's just he just gets outclassed by like a whole bunch of every support in A and A plus just completely outclasses him.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, now we have Raw. Base Raw is D tier. There's no reason to play him in support if you're not going Aspect. But Aspect Raw, I think, is a very solid B tier pick, almost going at A. Raw, and the only reason he's not in A is because he doesn't have any actual peel. If Raw had any CC that wasn't a slow or a blind, he would be a phenomenal support right now with Aspect because he uses the items so well right now. Heartward is phenomenal on him. Rod of Asclepius is phenomenal on him. The boots are phenomenal on him. Your ult is back up every 20 to 30 seconds and he heals for 500. Your 3 heals for 30 at a tick. It also gives 30 of each prot. It also gives 40 of each damage type. You're a huge buff character. You're also, right now, he technically has the highest healing in the game, and he can also heal everyone on your team at once. So it's just very, very good. Lucas, you can watch the video when this goes live to see why we put her in C, but it actually makes sense. I think you'd agree with it, even though you're like the biggest Morgan lover. But Raw Aspect is definitely a B tier pick. He's very easily to counter, but he still has some pretty good strengths. If you build him on a team that has a lot of their own CC, he is going to shine really well. He really uses the new items phenomenal. Like I've said that already, but he's just overall very good. And there's no real way to anti-heal him other than like picking an anti-heal character. And even then, it's only like 25%. So he's still getting value out of his heals. And he's very mobile right now with the new Rigo Striders and his passive. He's very hard to kill, very hard to lock down. And his ult's just up every team fight pretty much.
Yeah. You've been spamming Raw Aspect and support a lot, and I love it. I just wish Smite game had a better way of how do I put this without being too mean? I wish Smite game was better coded.
Oh yeah. So if you're Clockletone, Raw Aspect is the worst thing in the game because for whatever reason, Raw heal with Aspect does not stick to clock. No matter like
I could be standing still. I will be standing still, and he will put his 3 on me, and it will just not track to me.
No, but everybody else on the team, it'll follow them like glue. But Clock, it'll avoid him like the plague. It's actually so funny. But good call there. Good call there. Sobek, we'll move on to him. Sobek. No Aspect.
Easiest A+ my entire life.
Yeah, he's been good. He's still good. He still has anti-heal. He has an execute. He's extremely tanky. Some of the best CC in the game. Pluck into the knockup. He does a lot of base damage as well. He's just very, very good. Sobek is a phenomenal support. And, similar to the other characters up here, he can counter these characters very well. He also counters a lot of the best characters in the game period right now. Like Sobek into Herc is very strong. Sobek into Pele is very strong. It's just really good. Any form of lockdown is what you need. Anyone that's really good at healing or has high sustain, you need a character that has good lockdown because that's how you're able to counter those characters. Like Kraken and Sobek are great examples because they can keep them where you want them. You can send them into your team to lock them down. You can send them away from your team to peel for them. Like there's a lot you have. Plus Sobek also has that execute. So if they're just at that like edge of they're just low enough, you can execute them and then confirm the kill. So he's very valuable. And then Sobek Aspect, I think, is C tier because simply put, it's playable, but it's very bad in support because the pluck is just so much better. But it's playable. It's not, you're not straight trolling. It's just you're almost straight trolling.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Lucas, that's a wild take, but
Lucas, I'm just saying this is coming from the dude who plays Morrigan everywhere, so I don't want to hear anything.
That's a wild take, but you know what? That's okay, dude. He's annoying, but also Sobek Execute gives you permanent stacking max health, which is really nice. Next up we have
Granted, hold on real quick. Granted, permanent stacking max health is nice and all, but in this current, meta we're in, building a lot of HP isn't necessarily the best because of how strong Kins and Soul Reaver are.
Yeah.
But it's still a nice little addition to have.
All right, Yamoja, base Yamoja, A+. Yamoja Aspect is D at best. actually trolling because it just takes away all your support tools, takes away your stun, takes away your heal. You get a lot of damage, but unlike Ganesh Aspect, the trade-off just isn't worth it. But base Yemoja, very obviously A+ in competitive and in ranked. She is able to do so much. Her ult is amazing at zone control. It's also very good for objective fighting. She uses some of the new items really well, like Rod of Asclepius. It is phenomenal on her because she doesn't have any mana. You're able to build a lot more cooldown right now on her, so you're getting a lot more Omi regen. She uses Mushroom really well. She's just overall a great character, and come late game, she's one of the best late game supports in the game because she's really the only scaling support that Smite has, and that's just very good because come late game, your Omi regen is insane. So every team fight, you can send in like 12 heals and just to heal everybody. You're shielding them as well. She's super strong. She's also a great character to go if the enemy team has shields because her 2 nukes them completely. She's just overall a very good character.
Yeah, Yemoja's pretty cool. Definitely the highest skill cap character.
Yes.
In Smite game. You're either a great, you're either a good, well, no, you're either the best Yemoja or mid at best.
Yeah, so Yemoja, like Hawk said, she has the highest skill floor and skill ceiling in Smite, in my opinion. At least in support. In Smite 1, it was like her and the Morgan had the highest skill ceiling, but realistically, Yemoja is a very hard character to master because like there's a lot to her kit, and players struggle with her all the time. Because you have to play a weird mix of being frontline and backline, and that alone can be hard, but also the using her kit properly can be hard. So like for most players, she's probably an A pick or a B pick, but as a character in and of itself, she's an A+ character. All right, and then lastly, before we reorganize this and order it left to right, strongest to weakest, we have Ymir, and Ymir is a solid A character right now. He is not, in my opinion, as strong as the other A+ characters right now. Glacier, don't kill me, but he is still very good. He still is able to keep the early game duo pressure, but and pressure is still very important. But with him changing the buff spawn timers in duo, it's not as important anymore. And he does kind of fall off late game. But that being said, you could still make a very good argument for putting him in A+ because he still does a lot of early game damage. He does damage into the late game. And similar to Ares, he uses the mushroom phenomenally because once you go to ult, you're self-ridding yourself essentially. So putting the mushroom on top of you before you ult and then ulting into the mushroom, you're giving yourself 10% damage reduction for the next 4 attacks. And it'll just let you stay alive while you're ulting essentially. And you can guarantee that like 800 damage into a team fight. So all that said, I think he's a very solid balanced character. I don't think he's A+. I don't think he's like that strong, but he definitely could be considered that strong. But that's just in my opinion, I think he's A.
I mean, again, Ymir's one of those characters where I see him on my team, and I'm like, okay, all right, I have Ymir on my team. I don't have to play around him. I see him, and I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, I can trust. Exactly. Yeah, I can trust the Ymir guy. Like he has good control with the wall. He works fantastic with the mushroom. Mm-hmm. Great, good CC from his 3, the slows on his 2 and his ult, and he also just has a lot of really good early damage with his passive and his autos.
Exactly. Ymir, one of the things I do want to mention though, and this is like the biggest reason why I'm not putting him in A+ in the tier list, is a Ymir from behind is borderline unplayable. Especially if you're not a very good player. It is so hard to play Ymir from behind because it's very easy to lock him down. You're not super mobile. They did fix the issues he had in Smite 1 where like all visibilities are self-roots now, only his ult is a self-root, but even then, like it's still very easy to lock down Ymir. So if you play Ymir, you really have to play off of that early aggression and you have to get a lead because if you don't, you're going to have a tough time for the rest of the game. So that's a really big reason why I don't want to put him in A+. But yeah, overall, he's still a good character. Just keep those weaknesses in mind. All right, now that we have this, we're going to go ahead and reorganize the tier list, and we're going to put it's going to go from left to right, strongest to weakest. In the video, I'm going to cut this part out, and we're just going to go straight to like here's the finished tier list. But on stream, Clock, we can go ahead and talk about what we want to do this. Okay, so we have reorganized the tier list into who we think is strongest to weakest, left to right, and all the tiers except for C and D, because these tiers are pretty pretty interchangeable, like no matter what. So these we didn't change, but everything else we changed. So from strongest to weakest in A+, we have Ares, Yamoja, Sobek, Kabrakan, and Bacchus. From strongest to weakest in A, we have Ymir, Afro, Ganesh. Base Fenrir, Fenrir aspect, Baron Samedi, Bellona aspect, Ganesh aspect, Hercules, Cerberus, Kepri aspect, and Athena. Then we have Cupid aspect, Ra aspect, Odin, Apollo aspect, Guan Yu aspect, Guan Yu, Ares aspect, Hunbats aspect, Hercules aspect, base Kepri, base Thor, Thor aspect, Bacchus aspect, and Athena aspect. And then in C tier, we have, of course, Anhur, Cerberus aspect, both Hecates, Morgan aspect, and Sobek aspect. And then in D tier, we have base Apollo, base Bellona, base Cupid, base Morgan, base Ra, Baron aspect, Geb aspect, and Yamoja aspect. So these are the characters you should absolutely be playing right now. These characters are still absolutely viable and good. These characters are very good in specific situations. They're your counterpick characters. These characters are the C tier characters are very good if you are very good at this character, and then the D tier, you just should never play these unless you're very good at the character. And that is our tier list. As always, this is based on our play styles and what we are running into in ranked and casuals, and a little bit of comp, but mostly this is for ranked and casual play. If you want like a comp tier list, maybe we'll do one of those in the future, but for right now, this is just for most styles of play. And you know, always with all tier lists, take with a grain of salt, because like I said, this is based off of our play style. You know, I personally recommend watching a few tier lists just to make up your own opinions, but that's just me. Thanks always to Clockletone for helping us out here. And everyone, if you are watching this video, be sure to leave a like on it, comment what you agreed with, disagreed with, and of course, be sure to subscribe so you can get more hour-long tier lists for you in the future. Clockletone, do you have any parting words for the people?
No, not really. Just subscribe to Verivius YouTube. He's pretty cool.